it's helped the hobby.
What are you driving now, Ed?
I still have a Lamborghini Murcielago. Love those, and they're old enough that pretty much all my cars are old enough you own them for free. You just kind of float it along. Bought a Ferrari 430 Scuderia. Love that thing. We just launched a giveaway of my Porsche 993 when we hit 1 million subscribers on our YouTube channel. So we just passed 900,000. So in a couple 3 months we'll probably hit it, and we're going to give my car to one of our. At 1 million subscribers, we'll give it to one of our app users, because that's kind of what the VINwiki channel was designed to promote, was to get people to download the VINwiki app. So they got to download the app and make 25 posts, and they're eligible. So it seems to be working, driving more converted traffic that way. But
Nice.
So that'll get out fairly soon. Trying to think. Got my wife a new GL63 Mercedes, or a new, well-used one, which is.
How you guys feeling about the electric cars? Cool, not cool?
They're not.
From an environmental perspective, they don't gain anything, but from a performance perspective, it's phenomenal. I mean, they're really fast. They're not that fun to drive in most cases because they're so heavy that they're not like handling cars, and they don't feel that like visceral raw that we all love. But they you never meet somebody that has a Tesla that doesn't love it. So,
but they're new. That's the counterpoint I kind of make. Most Teslas.
Do you think it's because they own it already? You know what I mean? It's like one of those, like, they got it, Now is not the time to have buyer's remorse.
Here's my thing on Teslas. Like 4 years ago, Tesla was selling like 10,000 cars a quarter. Now it's 100,000 cars a quarter. If you're talking to a Tesla owner, that car is probably like a 2017 or newer, because they've all been sold recently. Yeah. I want to hear how much people love their 8-year-old Teslas, their 10-year-old Teslas when they get there. How are those batteries holding up? Does it need a $9,000 battery swap, repair? Like, that's what I'm curious about. If you told me that my car was going to be awesome, but 6 years in, the gas tank shrunk in half and it didn't have the same power, I'd be like, man, 6 years is not awesome for a car. So let's see.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the technology has made some of them depreciate pretty heavily. So 2012 was the first model year for the Model S Tesla, and those were all 60s. I think 75s came out the next model year, and then the 85s came out in 13, which was like the first really fast one.
What are these numbers? 85s, 60s?
Oh, it's the kilowatt battery.
Okay.
It's essentially how the range increases, and the ones that have a dual motor, so they have a little bit more capacity and they go quite a bit faster because they're all-wheel drive. But those still seem to have, now 7 years old, 6 years old, 85-90% of original range. So it's pretty good. But it seems like lately they will unlock range in the temperatures that the batteries can take as the cars age to keep it up. It's a very kind of voodoo thing. It's hard to really, because it's all behind the scenes, but people have speculated that's what's happening. So the range is really not decreasing that much, but the charge times do. I believe it takes longer to charge them as they age.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about how that's one of the things Tesla drivers love is their cars improve, right? They get new firmware updates. Suddenly the autopilot works better than before. Suddenly the screen, I have a Ford F-150 and I use Apple CarPlay, and Apple CarPlay just had what to me is a major improvement. It's a simple thing, but it used to be whichever app was on your phone was on your screen. Now that's decoupled, so you can have one app on your phone and one on your screen. Also, you can have split screen. So, for example, if you have music and a map and you care about both, you can have that on the same screen as opposed to flipping back and forth.
That is a massive improvement.
Yeah, as a user experience, it's wide open. Like it's gotten way, way better. Usually, cars I have don't upgrade. Like I buy them and then they just stay the same until I don't have them anymore. Right.
But also, this is my problem with the upgrades. And I was talking to our buddy Kyle about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
About with this Tesla. It's impressive. And he says, yeah, we get updates going down the road, rolling updates. Do you know what my iPhone does when I get an update and like it's 2 models old? It starts crashing. Are you going to have those problems with your car?
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying? Where your hardware is out of date now.
Mm-hmm. And so I buy into that is the same sort of we'll see that I have on the batteries. My phone, though, usually gets better. Like I like it. You know, I just got the new update recently, and that's the one that came with Apple CarPlay and dark mode. And I'm like, yeah, like this is an improvement. The voicemail UI changed a little bit, so did the texts. And like I used to have an Android, and it just it didn't update like the Apple did. It seemed like the phone you bought was more or less the phone you kept. People are going to say I'm wrong about that, but that was my experience back in the day.
Well, since we set the New York to LA record in 2013, the electric car record, I think, has been set 10 times. So you think, like, in that period of time, the advancement, and it's all technology based, because every time a Tesla with a higher number comes out and they add more supercharging stations, it gets better. And that's one of the reasons that we don't have manual gearboxes anymore. It's because what car manufacturers want to sell new cars, and they need to find ways to easily make them a little bit better. And in the 2000s, the way you did that for performance cars was sequential manual gearboxes getting better. As you had more emissions requirements and more safety requirements and cars had to get heavier, you just couldn't keep making them more powerful, which had been the trend for the prior 20 years. And so what we saw in the 2000s essentially resulted in, if I want to sell a guy the newest Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, anything like that, the best way to do it as a manufacturer was to make the transmission a little bit better. And that's why we saw the eradication of manual gearboxes. Right now, if you want to make a car better in a consumer's eyes from the things that they're going to immediately understand, like how much it costs to run on a daily basis, how far it will go before it requires maintenance, electrification works really, really well for that. And that's why we're seeing so much development there. Now, in the Obama era, we saw it because of tax benefits, because you could essentially have the government pay the entire lease of a $35,000 car, like a Nissan Leaf or a BMW i3, which was more money. But it was one of those things where people were owning these cars so inexpensively because of an external factor to what they thought they wanted. And we're seeing that with electric cars. It's working, and it's probably good for the consumer. But we're going to look back on it years from now, like we do with manual cars, those of us that like driving them, and say, yeah, we did actually lose something that we really did like.
Electric to me isn't the cool part about Tesla. I know some people like that, and I know that the performance is there. But one of my use cases is I often tow a trailer to Georgia, and I can do it on 1 tank of gas. I think I'd supercharge twice making that same trip with a Tesla truck. And then I had another thing. I lost it. But if I was going to run cross country with an electric car, wouldn't it be clever to mount like a generator in the trunk?
It doesn't work like that. I already tried that one.
Yeah,
it doesn't work like that.
I mean, I've seen the little one, but there's big like household generators. You know, they put 220 out.
I even thought about pulling one on a trailer behind you, like one of the big trucks. It doesn't work like that.
Put a big diesel one on there that runs a farm.
You're rolling coal in a fucking Tesla.
And I'm doing it for the environment.
It's like plugging a power strip into itself and thinking that you can electricity. Putting a solar panel next to the light bulb, and just this has to work. This has to keep it going.
I just feel like I'm not.
To me,
I'm not sold. It has to work. It has to have a little more energy.
My biggest problem with the electric car is it's cool, but I look at it like a novelty. And when you drive them, hell, I drove Kyle's car. And it's great. It's cool.
Do we know
Kyle? Accelerates. Kyle, the guy that holds the record for
the most recent guy. He currently holds the New York to LA electric car record, 45 hours, 16 minutes.
There, that guy. So, but like we were talking about, and I drove it, and it's cool, but it has no soul. Like nothing. You step on the accelerator pedal, it's the equivalent to stepping on a damn plum. There's nothing there. Just,
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
But I drive
a 69 Camaro with 550 horsepower. That has heart and soul.
And your pickup truck, is that your pickup truck I've seen in the videos? It's black. It has rims.
Yeah, I've got several pickup trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my observation is you're a guy who highly values soul in a car. You might think my F-150 has no soul as well, but I still like it.
Well, I mean, it is fine. I mean, some people like Fords. I mean, it's just whatever. But that's my problem with electric. Some people like it.
We've covered that I'm retarded already. Don't rub it in.
if you're into being second best, it's okay. But
then your Dodge is nice.
Hey,
What's
Hey,
nice?
nothing wrong with
The
silver.
new Dodge. The new
New
Dodge
Dodge,
is nice.
Ram.
On the
Ram.
inside in
And
particular.
like I said, there's nothing wrong with third place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, you said earlier, bronze is great.
Yeah, bronze is good. We're all proud of Ed.
The display screen in the center of the Dodge's
Mhm.
dash is as big as my fucking monitor here. It's outrageous.
It's
like
Tesla
that.
sized. Yeah.
Tesla size. Well,
Yeah.
and what you got at is exactly right. What we're looking for out of a car is not necessarily satisfied by a Tesla, but the fact they're selling 100,000 cars a quarter means that there are plenty of people that want an appliance for mobility. And that's what it is. I mean, because of all the things Tesla's done well, they have done better batteries and better infrastructure and all that. The thing they've done worlds better than anybody else, mostly because they were too big to take such risks, is autopilot. And if you talk to any Tesla owner of, like you say, a 2017 or newer car in particular, the fact that it drives them to work in traffic mostly by itself and they can sit there texting or doing whatever they want is the thing that will keep them from buying any other car. There was an article I saw, and I just read the headline because it was on a Facebook share thing, that said Audis have had the same self-driving capability since like 2018, 2017, but they haven't deployed it because it's really not legal the way, but Tesla just said, we don't care, we're going to do it. And that's where the innovation, the same way Uber said, we don't care if it's an unlicensed taxi, we're just going to do it, does, disrupt. And that's what they've done exceptionally well. And I think that's where most of the fanboyism comes from, is in those types of things that all they got to do is get to work, and it does that better than anything else.
But that's also a lot of the changing times and what people are looking for. While you're seeing manual transmission cars going away, you have kids now that aren't into cars like that. They're into the technology, just like the Dodge truck with the big screen on there. That's great. When it breaks down, you got something to watch. But I mean, you see what I'm getting at. But that's the thing. They're looking at that.
You selling me? Are there any
looking at
games in
everything
this
else.
truck?
But you see what I'm getting at. It's just changing now. I got a customer of mine. I've sold this man several cars. And he was talking about his son. He's 17 years old and refuses to get his license.
What?
Because he likes to be driven to school. That way he can do his social media and everything, so he can't use his phone in class and all that. That's the thing. It's a changing time now.
When my
so
daughter,
now you've got a self-driving car, no brainer.
when my daughter was 16, she didn't really want her license, which I couldn't get with. And we had to drive her to school. So I just tortured her by listening to Lord of the Rings audiobooks, which are which is not like, if you're just getting like bits and pieces of it and listening to this 112-year-old man like imitate foghorns and shit.
How rude.
Hey,
She's like, are they in the mines of Moria? I can't follow.
No, they left the mines when I was doing errands. They're somewhere else.
I missed it. I actually meant
They're in the
Game of
Golden
Thrones,
Forest
but
now.
it's the same.
Yeah, they're Fanghorn Forest. Yeah, I
I
never
heard that
understood
Apple
that even.
CarPlay is the most requested teenage car feature for people's first car. That's the thing they want more than anything else.
Is it what competes with it? Like there must be a parallel for manufacturers that don't use CarPlay. You don't know?
I don't know. I mean,
don't they have
Bluetooth,
a
I
sync?
guess.
Don't they have a sync or so? What is it called? Microsoft
Ford
has
has
something?
Ford has a sync,
Sync, yeah.
but you just run CarPlay on top of it. I have that,
Right.
and I just go straight away from it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
See, I don't even have. Well, I have one car out of 7 with a working radio.
Okay, all right, yeah. So we're at opposite ends of the spectrum.
It's just because again, it's just there's different things, and really, when you talk about like selling used cars is the Super Bowl of manipulating people, but the way you do that is by hearing what it is they really want out of a car and then moving them towards something that might surprise them but actually does fit that. So there's a genuine nature to it, but that still may end up in a self-serving outcome.
Huh. A car salesman was telling me about another customer of his, and it was a woman, and it was really critical the direction that the center console opened. I forget what she wanted, but I think she wanted it to flip away from her. And they just went from like car to car to car, looking at all the center consoles until she got what she needed. And that was her. That's what she valued.
That's the hot button issue.
Yeah.
I sold a car to an Indian man who was buying a car for his son, and it quickly became apparent that he only cared about his price point. It didn't make a fuck We ended up over in the lot where we had cars that were to be auctioned off. You know, trade-ins come in. It's like, oh, we're not keeping the cargo van that smells like tuna fish. We'll send that to the auction. And I'm like, we have this lovely Ford van here. And we get into it, and it's boiling Atlanta heat. It's in the car. It's literally 115, 120 degrees. And the windows roll down, and I'm trying to get mine down, and it's squeaking and stuff. And he's like, "Are you sure we could do this for $1,500?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah, $1,500 a buyer."
Never been so sure anything in my life.
Yeah, you can be out
You
the
want
door
to chip in just so he'll take it.
$1,450 if we go to the air conditioning right now.
with docking fee. You're out the door, $2,200 tops. You're good here. This is the one for you, I think. And he's like, I'm like, but no air conditioning, like I said. He's like, no problem. I couldn't believe it.